Well, today we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. During his life, Dr. King not only visited Nashville, he was inspired by people in the civil rights movement right here. News 4's Carice Jackman spoke with Nashvillians about what he meant to the city and how this city helped our country move forward.
Whether you're driving downtown or walking nearby the magnet school named in his honor,
we as a people will get to the promised land.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy in Nashville surrounds us all.
Dr. King came here to be inspired, not necessarily to inspire, and those were his words.
Cheryl Mays feels his presence every time she walks into the Nashville Public Library.
Had it not been for individuals like Dr. King and, as I mentioned, Diane Nash and so many others of our elders who came before me, I don't think we would be able to sit here in this room, in this amazing room in the public library, to reflect back on all of the work that had been done in the civil rights movement.
Nashville's youth activism and energy motivated King.
We had a lot of individuals here in Nashville who were already doing a lot of the work, and he came here to be inspired by those individuals. Diane Nash being one of those people. Rip Patton, who just recently passed away, he was one of my personal heroes. We had a lot of people who were in the fight.
You got these young folks here who are very much of the mind that they need to do something right now to change America. So in my mind, and I can't read his mind, but I can imagine him considering all of that.
TSU professor Dr. LaRotha Williams says our city's young leaders fighting alongside King undoubtedly changed the movement.
And you had 3 historically Black colleges in this city. And these schools are schools that are providing education, but they're training leaders.
We know that Nashville has a rich history, but we also know that this state has a rich history of racism because they assassinated Dr. King here, right here in Tennessee and Memphis. So it's a lot of history here, and so we want to honor his legacy.
Decades after his death, Charlene Oliver says King's fight for justice in Tennessee continues.
Tennessee is 46th in education. We are 50th in voter turnout. We have one of the poorest states. We're one of the most unhealthiest states. And we know that these conditions affect our lives. Dr. King wasn't just about marching in the streets for nonviolence. He was about real material policies that would help us. Voting rights, workers' rights, civil rights. He fought for a livable wage for the poorest people in this nation, not just Black people, but all people. And that's what we're doing here today.
Until racism truly dies, King's dream for a better America remains something each of them believe we should all strive for.
It's more than just putting a Black square on Instagram. It's more than just putting up a quote. Don't use Dr. King's name if you don't stand for what he stood for.
The dream that he espoused in where do we go from here? You know, that's stuff that we still have to work on today, and it's the responsibility of all of us.
A responsibility and dream we're reminded of whenever we see his name, his image, and his legacy throughout our city.
But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
I'm Carice Jackman, News 4 Nashville.